Hello, everyone, and welcome to CLI. So, by the end of this lesson, I hope that each and every one of you will be able to navigate and manage a file system. So, same as yesterday, I'm going to demonstrate doing one of these, and then we're going to round robin it. And then if we get through this in kind of short order, then I might have y'all work on it on your own, and then send me your responses. Okay, so first one. All right, I'm going to throw this over to the side, this over to the side. Okay, so if I'm looking at these instructions, first thing it's asking me to do is make a file called CLI-md. So I'm going to touch CLI-md because the touch command creates files. Then I'm going to open that with a text editor. So I'll open CLI-md with a text editor. I'm going to add Sika to the top of the file. I'm going to save and quit. Then it's asked me to print the contents of that file to the terminal. Cat is what prints something to the terminal. So I run cat. Hey, there's the thing I entered. Then I'm going to make a folder called notes. And then I'm going to navigate to the notes folder. So our navigation command is cd, or change directory. So I'll cd into it. And then I'm going to move the CLI file into the notes folder. So so the thing that's tricky about this is I don't actually have that CLI-md file. It's not in the notes folder. It's in the CLI practice 2 folder. So the way that I'm going to reference a path that's not in my current directory is you get to that by going up one, and then like that. So I'm going to move ... CLI-md into my current location. ... means the folder above me. I've seen this confused a lot. It's not the place where you just were. You can hop all over your file system. ... doesn't mean the last folder that I was in. It specifically means the parent, the one above me. And then dot is a way to reference where you are right now. So if I did something like this, that's going to try to put CLI-md in a folder called notes in the notes folder. That's not what we want. So the only way we can refer to our present location is dot. All right, so I've moved CLI-md into the notes folder. Then I'm going to copy the thing that I just moved in here to that. So now I have 2 of these files. And I'm going to list the contents of the notes folder. So do that with ls. Then I'm going to delete the CLI-md file. So I delete a file with rm. Puts their stuff in there. I throw an f in for force. It's out. And then I want to rename the CLI2 file to the CLI file. So move, or mv moves a file. It also renames it. We're moving it to the same location, but with a different name. So we'll say move CLI2 to CLI. Navigate up a directory. So that's cd ... And then remove the notes directory. So the notes directory still has stuff in it. So I need to rm rf. The R is recursive. We do that to delete a folder, not a file. And the F is force. Even though there's stuff in there, we still want to delete it. So I'm going to rm rf notes. And then last command, history, it's 12. Get this off screen. So make that 12. And then I gotten this one a lot. If you want to see like the thing so you can screenshot it whenever else, cat CLI history. And there we go. There's the 12 steps that I took. Cool. Ask me some questions about this.
I was getting stuck creating a folder in a folder, so.
That'll do it.
What was the command, not vim, was it copy that we used? Remember we used a different command to open the text
We use
editor?
code. We code, yeah.
Code. I knew it was something with the C.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Do we need to, so just out of curiosity though, because I saw that you did VIM and then the CLI MD, obviously we use code, but
Yep.
I did the code, then space tilde slash, and then CLI MD. Does it matter? Do we need to use the tilde and the slash there, or can we just say code CLI MD?
Okay. So any particular path usually has a few different ways to describe it. So let's say we had a path that was /home /Kyle /file MD. All right. So what kind of path is this? Who can tell me?
Absolute.
That's an absolute.
Absolute.
How did you all know it was an absolute path?
The slashes.
Yeah.
That's teacher Kyle, that's out.
That's what I'm talking about. You're learning stuff. All right, so this is the absolute path for it. Let's say my home directory was /home/Kyle. I could also write that exact same path as tilde/file. I've seen this mixed up a couple times. You can't mix and match absolute and home relative paths. So like if I did this, that's not real. You can't do that. You are using the tilde instead of the slash to indicate that it's kind of like an absolute path, but whatever you're doing is relative to your home directory. You can go up from there. You could do something like /... if you wanted to reference the home directory, or .. // if you wanted to reference the root. But if it starts with slash, it can't have a tilde in it. Okay, so these are the same path. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so does that mean, so in this case that like if we wanted to just type, because we're already in the folder, if we were just to type code and then file.md or
Bingo.
CLI.md, it would
Yes.
automatically open that because we're in the file?
Yes.
Or we're in the directory?
You got it.
So does that mean that, say you moved that CLIMD to the notes and then you wanted to open it via code, but not be in the notes directory, you could do code and then a relative path to get to there to change it without being there. Okay.
Yes. Any of these things that take file names, they don't take file names. They take paths. So it can be a path relative to where you are right now. It can be an absolute path. It can be some random place in your computer. Everything on the CLI that takes a path, any one of these path formats will work. We can also do some kind of nonsensical stuff. We could do something like /home /... That'll take us back to the root. /home /... That takes us back to the root. /home /Kyle. Like, that's a totally legal path. ... means go up a directory. There's no good reason why you would want to go back down into the exact same directory, but you're allowed to.
Okay, so that is nonsensical. You'd just be going home and then up one and then back home and then up one and then back one. So it would just be wasted space. Okay.
Bingo.
And Kyle, when we're talking about creating a folder within another directory, so creating a folder in a subdirectory, that's going to be that command that you made earlier. I know it's a pull down. Would you mind pulling that?
mkdir?
So yeah, it's here on line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, line 6, mv dot dot slash. So this is when we're in the notes directory, but we're going to pull from the higher tier directory to get to this current one. That's how that's, I see. Okay, cool.
If I wanted
and that dot dot will pull from anything in the path.
That dot dot will go to your parent. Because I don't know if you've realized this explicitly yet, but your file system on your hard drive is a tree. So like this is the root. And then we've got this whole navigation hierarchy. But everything always has exactly one parent. You can't have more than one parent. So that dot dot is always going to reference exactly one directory in the path.
And that's why you can't name a file the same name, correct?
Exactly. Because it would have no way of differentiating that with the other one. And so then, like, another way to think of how we build these paths is that, like, if I'm here and I want to get the path to the file here, I can do that a couple different ways. I could do an absolute path, so slash whatever this is down to that. That's totally legal. I could go up and then up again and then down into this. Totally legal. I could go up and up and up and then back down and then in here. That's allowed. If this was like a special directory, like a home directory or something, I could use like tilde and then go down from there. But here's yet another way to think of these paths. Each of these has an address. And we can either like write out the complete address, that would be like an absolute path, or you could say something like, oh, it's up the street and then take a right. But we're always talking about the same place regardless.
So when we start out and we make a directory, I mean, I guess my confusion is how do you know what's home? How do you identify where to go from there?
That's a great question. So in Unix systems, I was going to caveat this, but I think it's actually part of the standard. There is like an official spec for like what the folder structure is in a Unix system. So this is Mac, Ubuntu Linux, Gentoo Linux, Linux folder standard.
Because I just know I had a bunch of fonts in mind when I went to list it out, and it wasn't really doing what I expected based on the exercises.
Here we go. Users' home directories are always in /home, so that's the absolute path to the folder that contains those. And then traditionally, whatever your username is your home directory, because more than one person could be using your computer. So /home/Kyle Coberly, that's tilde for me. Those are equivalent. They just mean the same thing.
So just to take that a step further, not to get like too complicated or anything, but okay. So like when I pwd in my Ubuntu or whatever, it shows me obviously my /home/ my username bcherry. And then what if I wanted to add, am I through this system able to access like desktop? Because when I type like cd desktop.
I don't think you have it on WSL because you don't have, like, think about back to when we were talking about how in...
Or like inside a sandbox, you said, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what got me. I was trying to do it on my home computer, and I realized it was going somewhere I did not know where it was going. So everything I tried to reference wasn't pulling up, and I just went back to my work computer because I was about to lose my mind.
Okay, so on like the Linux that I'm using, I have this GUI that I'm using right now. And then I have like the actual operating system that's sitting on top of. In WSL, you just have this. And all of that is happening inside of that sandbox. So like this is my entire world. What you have is... You also have this Windows thing around that. And so your Windows desktop.
Oh, you talked about this. It makes sense now. It's like outside of what we're using. It's a different. It's a subset.
Exactly.
But they don't play together.
This.
So does that?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, does that mean so technically the furthest I can go back because this operating system's operating within a sandbox in my actual Windows program? That means the furthest back I could go is technically /home.
Yes.
Right. That's
it's root, but root is here, which is way nested down inside of your Windows folder.
Okay.
But like on an Apple, you would be able to see it within your Mac programs, and on here, that makes so much sense. That's why I couldn't figure it out. I thought it was my OneDrive or something crazy.
Yeah, it's not you can't see your downloads folder, you can't see your desktop, you can't see anything above where WSL is mounted. So
yeah, it was just tough because I was trying to follow some of the examples in the reading, and it was like, all right, go to CD desktop, and I was like, I don't have that.
The YouTube video was completely outside of it. So just for reference, I know what we've got this. Is there any way around that on a normal Windows computer, or you just have to play with what you got?
So your Ubuntu inside of your WSL thing can't see anything inside of Windows. Windows can see inside of this though. So for example, WSL, where is it mounted? I posted this link yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that after I got super confused. Well, that makes more sense, but
there you go. So it's in your local app data /packages /canonical group limited .ubuntu on Windows /local state /rootfs. So if you had something on Windows that you wanted to put inside of WSL, you can open up the Windows File Explorer and go down this tree, and you'll see all of your WSL files in there, and you can drag and drop something in there. So if you really did need to get something from Windows inside WSL, you can do that. You can't do it the other direction. You can't CD up through WSL, and then once you get to the root, keep going back up into Windows. That's a huge security issue. So you can't do that. But you can take something from Windows and put it in WSL if you want.
Okay, so if you wanted the full functionality without the sandbox, you would have to have a different operating system.
Correct. It would have to be this whole thing.
If you are in Ubuntu and you're on your root, where you start, you type in, it was one of the answers below what you were just looking at. You type in explorer.exe /period. It'll pull up the file explorer and show you exactly where
beautiful
your root is. Yeah. So if you want to quickly access that and see what files are in your root and see exactly where it is in your file system, that works.
And so you can drag and drop stuff in there. You can do whatever you want.
So I was never able to set up my username or anything properly. So everything I've been doing has been in root.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
In the, because you don't have a home directory? Yeah, drop me a message in Discord. It's not that big a deal, but it's going to be a pain in the ass. So, because there's limits to what you can do with those. If I go to my root, so this is the root of my computer. If I try to make a file in here, permission denied. It's because you can't just make or delete or move files anywhere into anywhere, because you might break your computer doing that. You can do that anywhere in your home directory. Your home directory is yours. If you don't want a folder, if you want to add stuff, if you want to structure stuff, you always have full permissions to do whatever you want in your home directory. But again, you might not be the only user of this computer, so you are not allowed to do things that would break the computer unless you sudo. So if I sudo touch some file, that'll do it. And there it is right there. But that's saying, that's super user do. That's saying, hey, I'm the administrator. I know what I'm doing over here. And I say, make this file or delete this file or move this file. But yeah, if you're in your root directory, there's some very smart limits on what you can easily add or move or get rid of.
So if we're trying to add something like the, I think it was the Ranger apt install Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
When I was trying to do that, it kept giving me like I didn't have permission to do that, and it kept asking, "Are you in your root?" Does that mean that I need to go back into my root to do that?
No. So what that means, what they're saying is that are you root? Root is one of the users. So like Sarah is like one user, and then there's also another like machine user called root. It's confusing because it's also the name of that directory on your computer. But if I do who am I, it's going to say, oh, you're Kyle Coberly. If I do this and say who am I, it's going to say, oh, you're root, because you switched user to root. And if I go, oh, never mind, I want to switch back to Kyle Coberly. And I go, who am I? Now I'm Kyle Coberly again. But you always have a user on your computer named root. And your root user is allowed to do absolutely everything. Kyle Coberly is not allowed to do that much because I'm just some user on my computer, and that could be something that breaks the computer. So I also have sudo privileges. This says, if I do sudo touch whatever, that says pretend I'm the root user for one command. And then it asks you for your password, and it goes, hey, is this person allowed to impersonate the root user? And you go, yeah, they are. And then it lets me do it. So if you
are we going to be using sudo a lot?
No, you're not.
Okay.
You need to do it to install things because you're like changing the computer when you do that.
Okay.
Which is why we did all that stuff on the first day. If you try to do something like apt install Ranger, it'll say, hey, are you root? It's because Kyle Coberly is not allowed to install software on this computer. The root user is, though. So I could either switch user into the root and install it that way, or much better, just say for one command, I want to apt install Ranger. And it's going to go, I just want to turn into root for this one command. It's cool. I'm willing to put my name on this one. And then it does it. Yeah, anything that might break your computer, you have to do as a super user.
And when we install something like that, does it matter where we're installing, like which file or directory we're in?
So package managers handle all that for you. I literally don't know where Ranger is installed. It doesn't matter. The operating system's taking care of all that for me. Now, if I was curious and wanted to find out where it is, the which command is a CLI command that shows you where something's installed. So if I go which Ranger, oh shoot, it has my alias. Let's see. Use which. By the way, this is like just a general thing that you're going to be in the habit of doing for the rest of your career. So the problem is I go, hey, where's Ranger installed? And it goes, by the way, you don't use real Ranger. Whenever you type Ranger, it does all of these things instead. Yikes. That still doesn't answer my question, though. So I'm going to ask the internet, how do I get the thing that I'm looking for? And there's a site called Stack Overflow that will have the answer for me. Use which with aliased command. Hey, what do you know? And this is another like pro tip with this. Anytime you're looking on Stack Overflow, skip the question. Who cares? Like, all you care about is does the answer your question, not does it answer this question. Not important to read the question. So type dash capital P. So I'll do type P Ranger. Oop. Maybe A. Type A Ranger. There we go. Ranger is an alias for this big ol' command. Ranger is this, and Ranger is also this. So if I go into that, what is this, by the way, for everybody?
Absolute.
Absolute
path.
Absolute path. So if I go into the bin folder, I'll bet I'll find a program called Ranger there. So if I go cd/user/bin and then ls, see a whole bunch of things. I feel like it went right past. Nope. There it is. There's Ranger. I want to go back to my home directory, cd tilde. And like I have a documents and a downloads and a desktop because that stuff is all part of the GUI. I have a GUI. You guys don't. You're in the sandbox. If I was on macOS, macOS is kind of like Linux, except it just doesn't split those up. WSL is a little different.
Kind of a weird tangent, but like we just did an absolute path, obviously, to get there. Can you show us an example of like a relative path to get there, just so
totally
I could
so
encode that in my brain?
Absolutely. So if I wanted to, so I'm in my home directory now. Let's say I wanted to get back to user bin, but I wanted to do it with relative paths. So I could go up. Who can tell me what directory that would put me in?
User bin.
Wouldn't it be the?
Let's try this.
Wouldn't it be dot?
I'm gonna.
It's not the root.
Yeah, where are we now? So that's going to take you to home directory.
To home, yeah.
Exactly. And the user bin directory, I can't get to that from home. So what else do I have to do?
You have to go further back.
Yes, I do. So now where am I?
Go the root.
Now I'm in the root. So now how do I get back down into user bin?
Then you'd be putting in Ben's credentials there.
So there. So if I do that, hey, there I am. Want to get back to the home directory, back out, down. If I want to run that Ranger command directly from my home, out, user bin Ranger. Fired up Ranger. Anything that takes like a file name or something like that also takes the whole path. If I wanted to copy that Ranger into some folder that I'm not even in, up, user, bin, Ranger. I have a folder called bin in my home directory. So I could either just say bin and move it into there, or I could do tilde/bin, exact same thing. Since I'm already in that folder, I could do dot/bin, exact same thing. All those are the same command. So if I do that, and I take a look at this bin folder that I have, hey, what do you know? There's Ranger. I want to get rid of it. Gone.
Is there a quick way to assess how many directories you are from home?
Yeah.
Good question. So let's say I'm way deep in the LMS. That's like Sika, Tools, Janus, API, data. All right, so now I'm in this like deep folder. So I got a couple tools. One is I can PWD and go, oh, okay, that's where I am. So if I'm in data right now, up, 2, 3, 4, would get me there. So I could like cd dot 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 dot. Oops, one more. Or if you're using agnoster for Oh My Zsh, like by default, it does home relative paths. So if you are in something in your home directory, it'll all do it based off of that. But like user bin is not part of my, not inside my home directory. So if I change to that, like cd user bin, then it shows that as an absolute path. So 2 tools.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding, CD goes into, so like if you're in a directory, CD goes into a folder that's in that directory.
No, CD goes to anything. So remember we talked about how like each of these has addresses, and it could be like an absolute path, like this is exactly where this is located in this entire hierarchy. It can be relative to something. It can be whatever. CD does all of those. You can CD to an absolute path. You can CD to a home relative path. You can CD to a relative path based on your current location. All of those are valid things that you can CD. So like,
okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding or if I had a misunderstanding, but
there
thank
you go. So like the way that we teach this to you guys is like, if I want to go into this Go folder, all right, so I go into Go. What's in here? All right, then I go into the source thing. But it'll take any address. I can CD into root. I can CD back home. I can CD to some nested path. I could CD back to that user bin. It's just looking for some address for you to go to.
So in this case, this is actually the advantage of using a relative path. If I'm 3 subsystems in and I need to get to a file that's 5 categories over,
totally.
All I have to do is do CD, get the general, okay, I know it's in file named project 6, project 6, and then start cascading down from there.
Yeah.
I don't need to go all the way home and then back.
Correct. Also, you don't need to know what these things are, because tab completion helps you a little bit also. Let's say I didn't know exactly what the names of the folders were to get from home to user bin. I could do something like, all right, and what's in here? All right, that's not it. Okay, cool. No, I think it's in that user. And then you can, if you keep hitting tab, it'll take you through these options. And then when you press the slash at the end, it'll let you keep going. So it's like, what's in here? Oh, okay, bin. Any other folders in there? No, it's got to be this location. And then you're there.
But if
That's so cool.
Isn't it?
If you know the directory that you're trying to get to, you can just do CD in the name of the directory. You don't have to follow the path. It's only when you're trying to move something, you got to give it the path to be able to follow, right?
No, not quite. So
okay.
If I'm here and this is called A and this is called B, I can CD into B. That's just fine. But if I'm here instead, I can't CD into B. It doesn't. These need to be unique within a folder, but they don't need to be unique within the entire file system. So if I CD into B, it goes, which B? There's tons of them, man. So you have to give it the entire path to get there. So that could be either relative to the root or relative to home or relative to where you currently are. So like if this is C, I could CD into C/B, but I couldn't just CD into B. Does that make sense?
To go to B, you would have to be in the directory right above it, right?
Exactly.
To come, yeah. Okay.
If I'm in C, I can CD into B. If I'm in the thing above it, I got to CD C/B.
You can go from the parent to the child, but you can't go to the grandparent.
Yeah.
Right?
You can go to the grandparent, but you have to refer to it with dots.
Okay.
It's more like you can't go to the cousin. So if I'm in C and we are trying to get all the way over to the left here, I'd have to reference parent and then D. Or
Yes.
if we're going even further, I have to reference grandparents, then we can go to that subfolder to get to a cousin.
Oh yeah, exactly. If I'm trying to get here from here, I got to go up, up, down. And if this is E, then that entire command becomes cd ... /... /E.
And the tab will help with that, right? The tab autocomplete.
Exactly. Also, since this is so close to the root, it's probably easier to just say cd root /E. But these are the exact same command. Those are two addresses for the same place.
Mm.
If you were trying to go the other way, like E to B, what would that look like?
So we got two options. We could do something like E to B might be, let's give this a name also. So I could go up to the root, down to F, down to C, down to B. Or since like I have to cross through the root anyway, this is the exact same path, F to C to B. Or if this was my home directory right here, I could say home relative, go to C to B. All those do the same thing.
Is there any sort of, I mean, like, it feels very non-intuitive to be able to know where you're at or where to go. Is there, I mean, and maybe it's just me, but that's what I'm struggling with is how do you know where you've been and where you're going to know where to go?
Sure. So a couple tools. The Unix file system is super big. Let me show you a visualization. Hierarchy standard. Okay, so here's the standard parts of the Unix file system. You need to worry about this part right here. The one that says /home, that's it. The rest of this is your operating system. And you need to mess with that stuff about as much as you do in Windows or Mac OS or anything else. So like some of that stuff ends up being like kind of useful, but otherwise 99% of the work that you do is in your home directory. And your home directory is organized however you want it to be. So give you some ideas. So this is mine. Since I have like a GUI desktop, I have a desktop folder and documents and downloads. You can also do that stuff yourself. So like, I like having a projects folder that just whatever I'm working on is in here. I'd recommend doing something like that also. If you want to subdivide that by unit of this program or by topic or however it makes sense for you. So since you get to determine how you organize all of that, some of this is like, all right, well, pick something that works pretty well with your mental model. Because when you start using it a lot, you end up just sort of having a mental roadmap of like where stuff is. So for example, I spend a lot of time going back and forth between this, which is the LMS, and this, which is all of the content for it. And so when I'm hanging out over here, I go, oh man, I need to open that thing over in Post real quick. I'll go like that. Oops, no. There we go. And let's say I go, oh no, that link in the CLI section got totally screwed up. So that's called section CLI, yeah. So then I open that up and
I gotcha.
And then I remove that link and then I get the question count wrong and then I break a whole bunch of shit, so I need to put it back. And then I can get out of all that and I didn't even move.
That it's really just knowing how you have your own stuff organized.
Exactly.
And for us, it's trying to figure out where the hell this is in order to be able to get there and organize it. Okay.
Right. And so there's a pretty good chance that you just started dumping everything in your home directory. Everybody does that at first. But this is how you can make a hierarchy that sort of makes more sense for you.
For sure. Okay.
Okay.
More questions?
Why does yours say master right there in green? Mine doesn't say that.
Because it's a Git repository, which is our next section. So what that does is like, I'll give you a preview. So instead of like managing versions and backups and stuff with like version 1, version 2, version final but no seriously real this time, version final but no seriously real this time too, like that kind of shit.
Realio.
Yeah, that's not what software engineers do. There's a program called Git that helps you manage like every change that you've ever made to something. So this is every change that I've made to this project. And so if I want to see what the project looked like at some other point in time, like what was shrink text input areas? Well, I don't know, that didn't work. So that little like weird number next to it, that's an ID. So D3FA, if I do git checkout D3FA, now I'm in the state of my code when I made that change. It's stuff like that.
But that doesn't implement your code. So if you just want to go back and show Bryce, hey, look at this weird thing I did.
Exactly.
Because you would have to commit it, right? To
exactly.
Make it.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, the thing I did there was just look at it. Look around, make changes, whatever. And then if you do decide like, oh, no, I want to keep rolling with this. Like there's tools for that, but otherwise it's that easy to get back.
So if you wanted to see that, like an actual function, could you make a branch and then look at it and leave it alone, or like?
Yes, that's getting into Git a little bit.
Okay.
So let's punt on that for now. But yeah, that's the general idea. Other questions about command line stuff? Navigation.
When we go back to your example, the one we were working on.
Yeah.
I want to show, or I want to tell you what I did. I think it accomplished the same thing, but I just want to run it by you.
It was about this era in here. Oh, actually, I put it in a file. That helps. Projects, practice. Okay, what about it?
You're good. On line 6, because I think your instruction said to move something, notes or something to, I forgot what the instruction said, but what I did is I CD space ... to get out of the folder I was in, and then I moved the CLI to the notes folder or something like that. Does that make sense? I would have to see the...
That is exactly what you're not supposed to do. So part of the reason that I have you print that command is this. Let's say that I did exactly what we're talking about. Pull up the instructions again.
Yeah.
So let's say I do that. That would be, stop, God, All right. All right, clean slate. I make a file. I open it. Save and quit. I print the contents out. I make a folder called notes. I go into the notes folder. I move. So instead of moving it out, I just go back out. And then I do something like move the CLI thing into the notes folder. And it was supposed to be in the notes folder, so I just go back. And then I copy it to that. I list it. I delete that. I rename. Oops. Where am I? I'm renaming CLI 2 to the CLI MD. I go up a directory. I remove the notes directory, and then I run this command. Okay, watch what happens. Hey, wait a minute. It doesn't have the first couple commands. It's because this is supposed to be done in exactly 12 commands. So that's how I'm going to catch you.
So what was the right way to do it? //
So yeah, what you wanted to do here, instead of going up and then moving it and then going back in, which accomplishes the exact same thing. I want to be clear about that. What you wanted to do was something like move ... CLI .md to my present location.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
I'm sure this was asked before. I tried to just copy and paste into the submission, but it says it has to be a URL.
Yes, it does.
So how do I do that?
I think that was the very first one I did. How about I fix the instructions on that now? Because I've answered this question a bunch today, which means that I did it wrong. All right, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go to the absolute path of where those instructions are. So those are. Oh, I'm not even going to move there. I'm just going to open it in my text editor. So that's in my home directory. My home directory. It's in Sika, Tools, Janus, Posts. Oh, no, that's right. It's not in Tools. It's in Posts. And then that one is called CLI Exercise, something like that. Exercise CLI. There we go. So I'm going to open this up. That's the file that has the instructions. Yeah, I really did a shitty job on that. So this was the very first one that I did. This is what I was like trying to figure out, this exercise system. What I do in future ones, like draw CSS, is take a picture or screenshot of your output, upload it, and submit the URL of your uploaded screenshot.
So that's like what we did the first day when we had insert something.
Exactly.
So we use postpics, right? Like
or whatever you want. If you have something you like better, I just thought that one was easy. And then since people also get tripped up on this, use cat CLI history to view your commands. Take a screenshot of these commands. There we go. All right, so I'm going to do all that, and then while I'm at it, how about I update that? Oops, come on. Never mind, I do need to go to that folder. There we go. All right, so then I can say fix exercise instructions and post them. And I go over here to the curriculum. Oops, not on websites. Come on, man. Come on, come on, come on.
I've made my best forward yet.
There we go. Hey, clearer instructions. More CLI questions. All right, let's try round robining. again. So, all right, Blair, you're going to be up first. Let me pull up a new exercise.
I go second this time.
Bryce is number 2. All right, there's the instructions, and here's a shell. Let's get somewhere kind of reasonable. Projects, practice. Okay, fresh canvas, and there's the instructions. Blair, if you'd be so kind as to help me with step 1.
mkdir site.
Thank you. Bryce, number 2.
CD site.
And Scott, give me number 3.
Touch index.html.
Thank you. AMP, give me number 4.
Let me see, because you'd have to go. Couldn't it be? Because you can't make the directory in there, right?
Why not?
Because technically you're in the because you're in the site folder.
So, folders can have folders.
Okay, okay. So mkdir pages.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay.
Sarah, what's next?
Hold on, make a file.
So let's break this down into some pieces. We're gonna make. Go ahead.
So make a file. So touch.
But like I got to make a file with a text editor.
Oh, okay.
And it's got to be in the pages directory, but I'm not supposed to go into the pages directory. So let's make a mental map of where we are. So we could call where we started, we'll call that our project root. It's not the actual root of your computer. It's the root of the project, though. Because like fun tangent, check this out. Every tree, every part of a tree is also itself a tree. All right, so we've got our project root. We made a directory called site. Inside of that, we made one called pages. And we are currently in site. And we need to make a file called about.html with the text editor inside of pages without going into it first. So how am I going to do that?
Would you do like pages/about.html?
Bingo. And then start it with whatever your text editor is.
Oh, yep. Okay.
It's exactly what we do.
That's a relative path, right?
Exactly.
That was.
Bingo.
Okay, and because pages was within the directory that we were presently in, we didn't have to start it off with a period.
Correct.
Correct. We could have if we wanted to.
Yes.
But it's unnecessary.
You're starting to get it. So I do something. Save and quit. All right, next thing I need to do is move about.html into the current directory. Sean, help me out.
So it's in pages currently, and then we want to move it to sites. So we're going to do MV. And then we first need to associate pages. So it's going to be pagesabout.html.
You got it.
then we're going to reference where we want it to go. So this is going to be our current directory. We can just put a period.
Yes. Very nice. All right, I want to list all the files in the pages directory. Now note that I'm not in the pages directory. Efren, help me out.
Oh man, I thought I had the answer. You confused me there. So I know ls is part of it, but
yes, it is.
We got to get to the page. So,
so we're right
CD
here right
pages.
now. I want to list the stuff inside here.
So we're in site right now.
Yes.
Which one was it? ls, yeah, pages.
Beautiful. All right, now I want to remove the pages directory. Brad, how do I do that?
rm dash rf pages.
Does it have the F or not?
Well, it's empty, so you wouldn't have to, but it wouldn't hurt if you did.
That is a completely true statement. Okay, so we've done that. Now we're trying to navigate back to our original folder. Parnell, how am I doing that?
You could do CD
Mm-hmm.
and then ...
Yeah. Very nice.
If you just put ... will that work too?
Yeah, that's a Zshell thing. That's like...
Okay, because I noticed it's been working and I wasn't
Totally.
sure if it was... Okay.
Nope, does the exact same thing. So that first terminal that was there when you like installed WSL for the first time, and then I made you install all that crap, that terminal is called, or that shell is called bash. Bash is like the standard, but it's very simple, and it doesn't have a lot of like creature comforts. And so the Zshell is like an improvement on that. It does all the same stuff, but that's a great example of like where they're a little bit different. Is I can just ... to go up instead of CD ... Or if I want to navigate into a folder, I actually don't have to type CD. I can just type the name of the folder, and if it finds a folder with that name, it'll navigate me into it. There's a couple of those things. The tab completion is 1,000,000 times better in Zshell than it is in Bash. Creature comforts. But yeah, that's what's happening there. Also, if you want to go up 2 levels, instead of ... /... you can do 3 dots. That's also a Zshell thing. All right, so I have gone back to the original folder. Modest Matt, how am I getting rid of that folder?
It's going to be rm space -rf site.
Works for me. All right, and then if I history, tail, all that stuff, let's check it out. Was that 12? Oh, it still had, I think it shows too many commands, but there you go. Questions? Going once, going twice. So if you'd like yet another one of these to practice with, I'm going to put this in Zoom chat. Make sure you copy it out if you would like to do it. Elsewise, that was a pretty good lesson.
Yeah.
Thank you all for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time, Cobb.
Absolutely. I think our next chat's in like an hour and a half. That sounds about right. All right, go learn some stuff.